Phil Marker and Mike Nithavrianakis are my guests here on Reconnect today. They're both members of the UK team at the event that's happening in our city called Municipalika. Thank you very much, both of you, for not going anywhere, continuing this discussion with me. We were talking about carbon emission, and I just wanted to know what you think about the way India is dealing with this.
I think India is clearly doing a lot on tackling its carbon emissions. The private sector is, as we've been discussing, is increasingly active. The government is developing its flagship scheme called the Perform, Achieve and Trade scheme to give big industry the right incentives to save energy and make that a profitable enterprise. And so that's an area where we're blending our UK expertise with that to make that successful. So I think India, the government of India is doing a lot. It's got Mike mentioned the solar mission, there's a biomass mission. So like many governments around the world, India is starting to tackle its emissions. There's all of us have challenges ahead. I think one of the important things that we found in the UK is to create long-term certainty for markets about where the market is going to go. So the UK has set carbon budgets out to 2027, which helps just give the private sector and investors some certainty, which helps them make the right investment choices.
Right. Now the UK, Mike, is promising us a very green Olympics, and I wanted to draw you out on that.
Yes, I mean, I think when it was in 2005, London was announced as being the host for the 2012 Games. I mean, we realised quite soon after the Beijing Games that we weren't going to be able to necessarily put the funding that China was able to put into Beijing 2008, and that we needed to try and focus on something that the British public could support. And we thought that might be regenerating a poor area of northeast London, which is Stratford, and making it the greenest games ever. And I'm delighted that the progress that's been made with all of the stadia just about complete, now the sort of infrastructure around it almost complete. They're in the phase now of testing all the venues, with lots of deals already signed about how these venues and Athletes Village and Press Centre will become sustainable buildings after the Olympic Games and used appropriately. It will, I think, succeed in its challenge to become the greenest games ever. And when I say the greenest games ever,
yes, I wanted to know what you mean by that.
It's really to focus on a few key areas. I think it's healthy living, low carbon is at the heart of it, good waste management, and biodiversity. And so each of the buildings and indeed the infrastructure around the buildings has had those key elements in mind. And well, we'll have to wait and see until July. We'll have to wait until July the 27th to for everybody to have their own opinion about it. But I think London 2012 is going to be a really exciting Olympic Games.
And could probably be a very good example for other countries to follow. Phil, when we talk about waste management, now Mike just mentioned that. Now, waste management is also another huge problem, a huge issue for us here in India. What would you see as the right way to sort of solve this? It's an enormous issue for us here.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the Olympics are a really good example of some of the things that need to be done across the life cycle of buildings. So, the stadia use a lot less construction materials, so they're both more energy efficient as well as lower cost to build. But then you come on to the waste, and again the whole site of the Olympics recycles all of the waste and treats the waste on site. And that's, again, it's something that we're discovering in Municipalika, that there's a lot of interest across cities in Tamil Nadu and across India to make better use of waste, to reduce the amount that's produced but treat it, and so reduce the amount of pollution that otherwise affects other people across India. So it's something that there's a lot of UK companies, expertise out there that they're very interested in helping with. And again, India has a lot of expertise to bring to bear too.
Right. Of course, we have so many people in India, Mike, and you know this better than any of us. But waste and the whole disposal of waste, the waste management process, it cannot really be going anywhere in the right direction unless people like us and citizens are actually made aware. Now, do you think that really that's the crux of the problem as a start, really?
Certainly the education level and the sensitizing the public is a huge role. When I
Surely.
go to universities and schools, I mean, there's no sense in my trying to persuade people. They're already aware of the challenges.
You find that?
I find that.
Really?
I mean, certainly the younger generation. I'm not trying to make a huge difference between the older generation are litter bugs and the younger generation are the ones tidying it up.
Right.
But really, that's what happened in the UK. I mean, that's what's certainly happened in the more developed countries, where the younger people who came along realised that this is our planet and we need to preserve it if we're going to be able to hand it on to our children and grandchildren in a good, sustainable way. And I think in India, these are enormous challenges, you know, high levels of growth, some energy-intensive industries, and people hopefully becoming more upwardly mobile and moving up the social classes puts great pressure on resources. It means that waste management and water safety and clean rivers are very, very difficult. And I think we are getting to the point where we will start to see some of those things change, where people will, the mass of the public effort will start to help transform not just community projects but municipalities as well. And we see it. I mean, there's a project I can mention which is not a British government project, but it's a British headquartered NGO called Hand in Hand, which does fantastic work in India. Has had a project in Mahabalipuram which was shortlisted by the BBC for one of the top 9 innovative developmental projects, and I think it was the second runner-up, for a community where they have used the waste and developed it so that it's not just going out into the natural water supply. And it's been transformational for that community. It's about highlighting those and trying to, transfer that knowledge across other communities.
Right. Of course, so we do know that we have tremendous challenges here, but it's people like the two of you who really come out as part of teams, and you are present here, living here in Chennai, who do offer a lot of help, and I'd like to thank you both really for your contribution and for being with me on the show today. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike, indeed.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we have time for here on Reconnect. It's been my pleasure that you could join us, and of course that our guests could join us as well. So don't forget to keep watching us every single Friday night at 9:30 p.m. And until the next week, you take care. Bye for now.